So let me ask you, the idea of going through a lot of girls when you're younger, do you think a man needs to go through that, or do you think that is a form of a weakness that holds you, that you're a slave to it?
Right. So that's a good question, and there's a fine line because there's arguments on both sides. However, I think in all scenarios in life, experience is always going to be valuable, no matter what it is. You need to have experience. If you're inexperienced to anything, whether it's hunting, figure skating, girls, you're going to suffer.
You pointed at him. You're saying, like, insinuating he
Sorry,
figure skates?
I know. He told me figure skating, and we made fun of it earlier. But
I was technically Patrick.
oh, sorry.
We're talking
figure
about the
skating. You need experience, and experience is exceptionally important. Also, as a man, especially when you're young, you're gonna get your heart broken a bunch of times. Some bigger, older, richer dude's gonna take that chick, and you need to get used to that pain.
So
You need to get through it. So I do think it's a necessary part of being a man, but you don't want to be led by it. There has to become a point where you go, you know what, I'm versed enough. And also, another thing I would like to say is the reason you need to but date lots of women when you're younger, so you have choices.
Define the two.
Yeah.
Which is more important, date or sleep, in your eyes?
I feel like you don't really, I think that sleeping with a woman, you learn more about them. It's a closer relationship. So I'd say probably sleep with X amount, not crazy amounts, but I would say that, okay, let me give an example. If I go to the supermarket and pick up an apple, and it's the only apple I've ever eaten, can I really say if it's a good apple or a bad apple? It's the only apple I've ever tasted. It might be sour, it might be terrible, I don't know. Whereas if I try 10 apples, I can tell the differences between apples. I say, what's a good apple, what's a bad apple? I think you need that degree of experience, because sometimes you'll be with a woman and go, yeah, she's great, but if you're not experienced enough, you realize she really isn't all that great, and she actually treats you like a dickhead. Whereas if you've been with enough women, you can always reference back to that girl who actually was really good to you. And you'll probably mess it up because you're young and you're dumb. We've all done it. All of us have that girl we had who was perfect when we were young, and we all ruined it because we're stupid.
Who was that person for you?
Okay. Can't say names.
But no, not names. I'm not asking for a name. But I have mine as well.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I feel like when I watch you and you're going through your for example, so I don't know what kind of movies you like,
Yep.
but there's movies where it's redemption or vengeance.
Yep.
Like, I don't know if you watch Gladiator, 43rd minute, he walks up to the house, sees his wife, sees his kids,
Yep.
like, oh my God,
Yep.
I'm gonna tear you
Yep.
apart,
Yep.
right? And you watch that over and over again, or Taken, or Man on Fire, or some of these movies that are just putting that energy in you, right?
Yep.
So, girl that breaks your heart, and to produce the energy to say, watch who I'm gonna be in life. For the rest of your life, you're gonna brag about the fact that you could have had me,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And then comes to a point where you're like, okay, there's not much more I can do. She's already knows what she missed out on.
Yep.
Now what? But for me, go back to you. I'm curious. How bad of a breakup was it? How bad did she break your heart?
Yeah,
I know you're
I think lots of men have gone through heartbreak. A lot of men have, and I wouldn't say that I've gone through any heartbreak which is particularly worse than any other guy. What I will say is that I think heartbreak is one of the most fantastic motivator on the planet. When a lot of men message me and say they're heartbroken, I think that is the most fantastic mindset to be in to achieve things, because there is that degree of revenge and there is that degree of vengeance, and that can only be achieved through being so successful, so monumentally important that she can't forgive you. And also, you cannot even sleep, you can't even concentrate, like your whole mind's a mess. That's the perfect time to train. I know what you're saying. I don't think I've been through a particularly bad heartbreak, but I'm saying that.
Who did she leave you for? Did she leave you for somebody where?
No, I don't think I've had a particularly bad heartbreak. I only mention heartbreak all the time because I know it's a path every single young man goes through.
I also think you're not the type of guy that would ever give credit to that person, if there was one. So I don't see you saying that, because it is a form of a victory over Top G, which that's not going to happen.
Well,
right?
that's part of it, but then let's analyze now, right? There's no girl who I've ever been with in my life who can now turn on the internet without seeing my face.
Sure.
Isn't that beautiful? They have to all lie to their man and pretend they don't know me.
Oh, I don't know him.
Because if they go, I was with him for a few years, their whole relationship will probably break down, because then he's gonna get pissed off and insecure. So that to a degree is a victory. That's kind of fun. But no, I didn't have any. The reason I say heartbreak is because In the modern world, I don't think things were as bad when I was younger. I think women were more pure when I was younger. Even in these, when I was 20, it's only 16 short years. I think women were actually a lot purer before OnlyFans, before Instagram. The sexual marketplace wasn't globalized.
Yeah.
When I was 20, if there was a hot girl in the small town, she was the hot girl in the small town. Now, if she's the hot girl in the small town, she's also in Dubai and Courchevel. The whole world's globalized. The competition's globalized. Everything's changed. I didn't have a particularly hard time. The reason I say heartbreak is because 80% of the emails I get from men are about heartbreak. I think that most men, especially young men in the world today, are getting their hearts broken. And when you're saying who are they leaving for, they're leaving for the millionaire who hits them up on Instagram. It's hard.
Is that what happened to you?
That's not what happened to me. No.
Okay. Got it.
But I'm talking about the emails I get. You're a guy, you're in Nebraska, the high school sweetheart, she's a 10, everything's fine. She's in Courchevel with a millionaire. Instagram. You had an argument one day.
I'm trying to target you purely for one reason.
Yep.
Because a big part of my drive, I've had drive always. I was a dreamer. I was the guy that was, but at the same time, the drive for success came after a lot of pain.
Of course.
Coming right afterwards. So that's why I'm asking you a question. So when that happened to you, did you fear risk of loving somebody where it's kind of like, I'll get this close, but boom, I got to move on. No, I got to move on. Did that happen or no?
No, I wouldn't say that particularly happened. What did happen though, like I said earlier, is when you have experience with lots of different apples, you know what a good one and a bad one is. So when we say we all had that girl we messed up when we were young, if I found another girl with those qualities, I certainly wouldn't mess it up. You need experience to understand what you have to value it. If you don't have experience, you don't value what you have. So the original question is a really good one of whether men are chained and enslaved by their desires or whether they need to sleep with lots of women. I think in the modern world you need experience and you need choices and you need options. But if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. If you're going to be the guy who's also out there in the club and sleeping with lots of girls, talking to lots of girls, there's going to be times you lose a girl that you don't want to lose. You can't be a coward about it. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. There's up and down, there's rain and sunshine. You have to be that man who's going to go through it all. And then when you've been through enough of it, like I have, like I said, if I find a beautiful girl now who's a 10 and deletes and doesn't want Instagram, that's worth more to me than 1,000 stupid girls.
Respect.
Yeah, that's who I want.
Yeah, I got you.
For my safety, for my security, for my peace of mind, for everything.
You're clear on what you want today.
Absolutely, because I know.
When you played, you said there was a phase of my life that I kind of went through it. Okay. Was that after the heartbreak?
I would say, yeah, it was after, but I think that was just, I don't know if that was deliberately driven by heartbreak. I think I was just younger and I had less serious motivations. And I wasn't as famous and I wasn't as rich and I was less interested in. So it's not just my current situation that makes me say this. I would say this to any man. If your woman wouldn't wait for you if you went to jail for 5 years, why are you with her? Why? If she wouldn't wait, I know she's hot, I know she's funny, I know she makes you laugh, but if you can't sit in that jail cell with 100% certainty that she's not out with her friends, them in her ear, talking shit, watching Sex and the City, whatever it is, and her ending up with some other guy, why are you even buying her dinner? For what, sex? Like that loyalty to me is the only thing left that's valuable. When me and Tristan were in jail, we were sitting there saying we have it so much better than most guys. Because most guys in jail, imagine you're a normal person, you go to jail. Who's feeding your family? Who's paying the rent? Who's feeding your kids? I said, Tristan, we're in jail and we're suffering, but everybody we love is good. I'm a man, I'm supposed to suffer. I'll sit here with the cockroaches. If that means all my kids eat, everyone I care about eats, my mother's fed, my mother has a house, roof over her head, everybody has everything they want. Only person suffering is me. I'll take that all day. Most men who go to jail can't say that. Another thing that gave me absolute peace of mind is the women who love me are waiting for me. Imagine you go to jail and you're completely heads over heels in love with a woman, but you know deep in your heart that she's out in the club and she's stealable. We talk about thoughts you can't get out of your head in jail. It's amazing how when you lose all access to electronics, how thoughts are amplified. Most of us sitting here, you've never been without a phone or without a laptop or without a computer for 93 days. You'd be amazed how loud you can think. You'd be amazed how vivid your mind is. I learned that. If you had the nagging thought in your head, I loved her, she cheated on me before, maybe she cheated again, she hasn't written me in 3 days, and then plus jail. That's why they're all crying. That's why all the men in there were sobbing. Their wives are either fucking someone else or the bills ain't paid. It's not just his situation, it's everything else. Yeah. So now if you're gonna say to me, what do I respect in a woman? I respect a woman who's gonna wait for me. I have no interest in a woman, oh, she's funny, she's cool, she's hot. Don't care. Don't care. Is she going to wait for me? And I also know, because of my experience, which ones would and which ones wouldn't. I'm not stupid. Because they'll all say they would. They'll all say they'll wait because they're on the jet. But I know which ones are lying. Because enough women have lied to me. I've seen it. So you do need that experience. But once you have the experience, you start looking for completely other things.